We are on a former Essex-class aircraft carrier, one of just over 2,600 national historical sites here in the great city of New York City, in the United States, I should say. And this was a ship before it became a museum just a few decades ago.
That's right. Served in 3 separate wars. It became a museum in 1982. And here to talk with us about it is Susan Marenoff-Zausner. She is the president of the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. Okay, this carrier was in operation from 1943 into 1970s. It served in World War II, the Cold War, Vietnam, and my favorite anecdote from reading up last night is it even served as a temporary command center for the FBI during 9/11, the September 11th attacks.
It did.
For you, what are some of the highlights of this vessel?
I mean, in addition to that, too, it was a NASA space recovery vessel for both the Mercury and a Gemini capsule, so
cool.
and their astronauts. So it really served that literal sea, air, and space. There are just so many amazing parts about what we do, and I always say, look, we get over 1 million visitors a year, and that's amazing. But it's what's on the inside of our steel walls. That's the heartbeat of
what's
who
on the
we
inside
are.
That counts.
It's what's on the inside that counts, exactly. And so, I mean, we bring in over 100,000 kids a year. We teach them STEM education. We utilize our artifacts. We utilize the histories of the people who served. I mean, 50,000 men served on this ship, and it was only men at the time. And we teach them about what the innovations were, what the technology was, and we relate that to today, and we relate it to what we think is going to be tomorrow, so we can inspire that next generation of scientists, of engineers. We advocate for women in STEM because it's known that women drop out of STEM much earlier than boys do. And so there's so much that we do here. We have access programs where we do sensory sensitive programmings on Saturday mornings for those with disabilities, those with cognitive disabilities. And of course, we honor our veterans. And seeing our veterans walk around, we have our own former crew members that still volunteer here. That's amazing.
Cool.
Oh, it's amazing. That is a heartbeat, if I talk about heartbeat. And they talk to our visitors, and our visitors get that real sense of what service was like then and what you can do with the innovation, the technology, and service today.
You drive down the West Side Highway, maybe you see a Norwegian cruise ship, you see all of these piers. How did this ship come to be here on this pier? You've got a long-term lease with the city of New York. We owe it to the Fisher family, principally, but how did they get this vessel? How did they make it into a museum?
100%. I mean, in 1974, it was decommissioned. In 1982, it was brought over because the Fisher family, Zachary Fisher, salvaged the museum. He couldn't serve himself, and so he figured out this was his way to serve.
And it was going to be scrapped,
It was going to be scrapped, and who knows, could have been all the razor blades that we're still using today. But yes. And so they salvaged it, and then they gifted this to New York City, and ending up being really the world. We have visitors from all over the world. As you'll see today, the ships are coming in from all over the world, an appropriate moment for all of us. And really the mantra was to make this a place where kids can learn about civics, about service, about something that's bigger than themselves. And what we were able to do was take these amazing aircraft, take all the collections, and say there's also innovation and technology in those generations. Think about what was done with no internet, no, anything of that kind of engineering source. And let's figure out how we relate that to today, keep that inspiration going, perpetuate all of these lessons. There's still something so important about tactile, tangible, that I don't think everybody gets the way that they used to get. I mean, so that's in large part we feel our responsibility.
I wanted to ask you about a couple of things that I thought were neat. Is it true that the deck was made of wood during World War II, and one of the reasons is so it could be more easily repaired if it took hits, they could find scrap and kind of put it back together?
Yes, I would say that, but it was also just the time, and that was what it was made of then. But when Vietnam and the later eras of aircraft began being developed, they needed a longer and a better, stronger flight deck, and that's when it became steel. But so the wood was what it was made from. That was historical, and we actually have some flight deck wood still kind of in our galley, I'll say, too, as little treasures. Yeah,
we'll have to go find some.
You talked about all of the programming you do. I think a big priority of you, having running this museum, is elevating it to a larger stage in the world. I think there was a presidential debate here, or a presidential event previously. So how do you think about just sort of its place, yes, in the city of New York, but in the world more broadly?
I think we all still pinch ourselves a little bit. I started here 23 years ago, and it was absolutely this niche museum. It was really incredible. But the team team here has developed a level of relevance, and our mantra here is really remain unique, important, and relevant. And so for the world, we utilize the sense that we were a recovery vessel for NASA. We have a space shuttle. We have the
Enterprise is here.
That's exactly the original that tested. Well, it tested the separation and landing, which was the very first thing that had to happen before anything else can happen with a reusable aircraft. And so we really tried to work with everything we have here, but we're also creative. So, the word adjacent, we work with adjacent types of exhibits as well. Underwater archaeology, which is a fascination, but it relates to space and it relates to everything that we do here. And so we have made it relevant for the world to understand that this isn't just an artifact that's sitting here in the river. This is a place of history, but it's a place of the future as well.
Before I let you go, you were also the New York, New Jersey venue director for the 1999 Women's World Cup, which was this huge moment for American women's sports. Mia Hamm, that then controversial, and now seems so ridiculous. The ripping off the shirt with
Brandy Chastain.
You can walk down the river and see 1 million women working out in that outfit
That's
now.
exactly right.
Talk to us about what it was like being involved in such a pivotal moment in history and your reflections on this World Cup here in the U.S.
I was at a conference and somebody said that the last World Cup was the 1994 World Cup, and I was like, no, the last World Cup was 1999 Women's World Cup. Listen, that was a moment too when we needed those women to be role models, and that's a lot about what we are about here is having role models that are mentors for our young women. But that was a moment that propelled women into sports, and listen, there were still failures because people didn't believe in it for television rights, for instance, when the WUSA launched at first. And so now, though, those women that were on that original team, that 99 team, and then became part of that WUSA, oh my gosh, they are strong, incredible leaders, and they were first, and they brought other people with them so that they weren't last.
It's funny that somebody asked me if I could name a man on the U.S. men's team, and I couldn't, but I can name a bunch of women. I can name some on this team and some on that team. Yeah, exactly.
So, that was an amazing launch pad for all of women in women's sports.
Susan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us
here as well.
Thank you so much for being here.
We're really excited to be here.
Sure.